And welcome back to the Flickering Torch podcast. This is Mr. Dead Scott.
And Smite.
And we just want to welcome you guys back. I'm clearly drinking already. And thank our one true fan, whoever the hell you are. Why do you still listen to us? Which, yay, thank you. And at the same time, we question your sanity.
But yeah, you're imaginary, but we still like you.
You told me they were real.
Well,
I knew it. I knew it. Okay, I have here on the script a stupid joke or pun, but I don't think I really did that well. So let's go into it. So we talked about D&D last time, I think. It's been a while, I can't remember.
Yeah.
We're bad at this, as you guys may know already. So let's dive into the subgenre, a little bit of that, and we're going to talk about like roguelike games, and then later on the concept of permadeath. And so, yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
So I guess we'll actually describe the idea of roguelike, or the explanation, how we define it, as we do with other subjects.
Because we are God.
Yeah. So, I guess my explanation of roguelike is it has to do with permadeath. It's kind of a core theme to the game, but at the same time, it's also a mechanic. Basically, there's the goal. Well, it's kind of hard to describe, actually.
Yeah, not easy.
There's permadeath. You lose your character, and there can be progression in the game, but the thing is you have to lose something on death, whether that's your entire character and start over, or there's games where you do keep some progression, and they use roguelike mechanics. But basically, roguelike is the game. You actually die when you die. You lose that character. You are not the same person you were
ever
when you restart the game. Yeah,
ever again.
So
with new character creation, I guess you can remake that same character, but
yeah,
it's not the same.
It's not. You're making a new character at that point.
It's Sir Jim Bob II.
It's like if you got 60 hours into Skyrim or something and you died, you're gonna have to make that character again and redo all of it.
Ew.
But so. That was a horrible, but that's my explanation.
Mine's more or less the same. It usually involves permadeath, because that's what current roguelike games are nowadays, not like the traditional ones. But I don't know. I kind of see roguelike style games too as because I'm thinking more and more about all the ones that I've played. They usually involve something that's not open world. It's usually just a set dungeon, or an ever-changing dungeon, or dungeons that you go into that may have a set series of things, but it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, but it's not.
That's a good point.
But there's usually not an open world in roguelike, from what I've noticed, and that would be my explanation of it. So it's take Dungeons and Dragons, where you're building this whole world around you, everything from the shopkeep to, if you really want to get detailed, that tree in the far corner distance, that's maybe the Tree of Life or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the dungeons, and then the monsters, and then the characters and the interactions. Roguelike kind of scales it down, is how I would look at it, and it just makes it maybe you have a hub, you have a central base camp or something, you have a place you go to that's a dungeon, or a series of dungeons, or a location where combat is initiated.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my example of roguelike, is it's a little bit more combat focused and less world building.
Yes.
So
yeah, you already have your goals set out. It's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, the things that happen in the game are dynamic, but the story's kind of laid out for you. It's you have an objective, you get from point A to point B, and whether you die or you make it, it's. I forgot to actually mention that. Yeah, you usually are set up in a dungeon, or one specific area. Yeah. You don't travel area to area, because that was kind of cruel.
Oh, God.
It's been really expansive games, and then you permadeath, and then you have to start all over again. But there are some games like that, though, that are really large, and you die, you lose out, and have to start over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But if the game's good and, it has a lot of great mechanics in it, you're willing to keep trying and trying again.
And that kind of goes into that concept of it. So The roguelike definition that I found on Wikipedia, because all praise the mighty Wikipedia, is that roguelike games are similar to the Dungeons and Dragons style of games with character creation, stats, skills, weapons, armor, etc. From there, it falls into kind of like a dungeon crawler-like style, or a game or a subvariant of a dungeon crawler. Most use a permadeath system, but again, it's a very wide subgenre when you say rogue-like, because it's more of like, I would interpret it more as like a set of rules than an actual style of game. But it's open to interpretation.
It's common mechanics. Because like that definition is like there's not always character creation. There's classes.
Exactly.
Some games allow you to do stats. There's a lot that don't. Some give you weapon choices and stuff. But that's, I mean, I think that's to appease, kind of keep you attracted to the game. Feel a level of progression. Otherwise, why would you play? If it was just like hack and slash the whole way through with permadeath, you'd be like.
That's the thing, is like if it was just very simple, like you had mentioned, like it's like, oh yeah, guess what? Like, okay, we're gonna make a game. It goes into a dungeon, and there's one dude, and he's got a sword and shield, and that's about it. It doesn't matter. He's got healing potions.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, do I get a knife? No, just a sword. A spear? Just a sword. Spells? Just a sword.
Yep. Upgraded sword? No, just the same sword.
Well, maybe you have to beat the game. We'll give you an upgraded sword.
Yeah.
But it is just cosmetic. Okay.
That would be See, that would be very boring. So I'd see why most have
You have to give either some illusion of choice or give choice as an option, because then it's like, okay, okay, so I went in as the thief into this dungeon, and even though I did a lot of damage when I had sneak attack options and I was able to progress a little bit, I got my ass handed to me most of the game.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm dead. Sir Roderick Frederick III the Thief, because I like those names, he's gone forever. Yeah, maybe I'll try, the mage, and I'll name him Smitey.
Yeah. So, have you noticed because while you're talking thing is like most...
I saw the gears turn.
Slowly,
but...
Hey. Little WD-40. That's what beer is.
I'll get that, hang on.
Yeah, the most roguelike games put kind of story on the back burner. They're there, but that's not the main drive of roguelike. It is usually the mechanics and the combat. Usually you're focused on staying alive and trying to get from point A to point B. And there's points where the story kicks in. I say one of our examples, Darkest Dungeon, does really well with the story because narrator and things like that. But a lot of other ones like Magicide or Don't Starve, things like that, they don't really have.
Oh god, there's no story in Don't Starve.
You could kind of make your own, but it's kind of like a sub piece to it. It's not like a main focus of most games. Like you have a story, this is why you're doing this. It's kind of like, here's a challenge, and here's kind of the background history of this theme.
Well, it's like, oh yes, you are the warrior of light, you're the bringer of balance. By the way, there's a princess that needs to be rescued. Like, here's what you do, here's how you do it, here's your story. Great.
Yeah.
Good point. Like, roguelike is kind of more of like, hey, there's this dungeon that we hear has like a lot of really cool shit in it, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, cool. All right.
If you think about it,
I have a death wish.
Your characters in those games, because you're basically going into a dungeon without any motivation or anything, right?
Or knowledge.
Or knowledge. You're basically a mercenary.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a princess at the bottom of this cavern.
What the hell is she doing at the bottom of the cavern?
A big monster took it, right? So you're like, okay, I'm going to get paid to do this job. And so the story might be explained to you, and you could probably care less about it, or you might be not told anything, but you might pick up pieces that seem important to finish the level. I mean, if you think about it as a mercenary, you have no attachment to the princess. You don't need to know the background story.
The who's a what I'm rescuing?
Yeah, you're just doing it for the challenge, the money, whatever. So actually, that's a decent way
I do it for the loots.
And yeah. Not there for the loot. The Destiny 2 trailer.
Please watch that if you haven't, by the way.
That's hilarious.
Nathan
Fillion. Amazing.
Yes. No, I agree.
So, examples of roguelike games.
So ones that I've played that come to mind, Don't Starve, Darkest Dungeon, Dungeon of Endlessness, or Endless, I'm never really sure how to say that.
Dungeon of the Endless.
Yeah. Rogue Legacy, Binding of Isaac, and those all have like roguelike aspects to them. Usually one of the more common themes is permadeath, of course.
Yeah.
But Binding of Isaac is actually kind of a good example of rogue, because you are Isaac, you're this little kid, and all of a sudden your mom goes crazy. The story's really minimal, I swear. She goes crazy, she believes she's hearing the word of God. She starts taking away all your possessions, starts taking away your clothing, locks you up into the bedroom, and then all of a sudden figures out that God wants you dead. And so you dive into the basement to escape. And when you go into the basement, you find all these horrible creations and atrocities and other things like that, and you just try to get through said dungeon basement.
Damn you, false god.
And it's like, even when you get to the last stage and you defeat, quote, your mother, like, you don't really defeat her, like, spoilers, but it's really not. Divine Intervention actually does step in and knocks her out or kills her. Like, it doesn't really explain it well, but that's not the point. It's more the challenge of getting through.
Yeah, this is the story part, yeah.
Yeah, the actual thing. The story's just there to kind of just wrap it up and make it feel somewhat good at the end.
Yeah, because if you, like, just kill the last boss and it was just like, game over.
Yeah, do.
You're like, okay, well, feels like 1980s asteroids. You know, you're like, so I destroyed the last, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, that's a good one. And like, and what we were talking about before, like with Don't Starve, there is absolutely no story. You're literally dropped into a world and pretty much just told, don't die.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, no, but that one, see, it's an open world game. Unlike a lot of the others, but the thing is, you kind of create the story yourself. Mm-hmm. I want to point out that our definitions in the wiki isn't exact definitions of roguelike.
Oh, God,
it's
no.
really hard to pinpoint down, because it seems like it's a set of mechanics that are commonly found, but there's no specific way to make a roguelike game.
Well, it's more or less like, yeah, it's like that. It's like D&D. It's like you have like a core rule that you can follow, but then there's house rules that go with it.
Yeah.
And with roguelike or rogue style games, it seems it's just as you want it to be, with some guidelines.
Yeah, exactly. It's a challenge with these similar mechanics. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I know there would probably be people who argue with our definition than the wiki definition.
Wasn't that part of the point, to stimulate conversation, get people to listen?
It's true, yeah. But I want to make that clear, is like, by no means is ours correct.
No, we're infallible.
Because, like, just all the examples we give, they're all different, although they have common mechanics between each of them. Mm-hmm. Most of them are don't die, obviously, because you don't want none of your characters to die. But there are games that use roguelike mechanics that allow you to respawn, but you do lose value in something.
Yeah, sometimes, like, you'll... well, I think Dark Souls is like a good example of that, because, like, you can respawn, but you lose your humanity, and you lose maybe, your souls, obviously.
Yeah, so when you die, you lose...
You're the expert on this.
Yeah, so you lose your souls, which is what you collect from killing enemies. It's like your experience to level up and buy things. And yeah, you lose your humanity, and your humanity was what lets you interact with, like, objects within the world, or not objects, but like spiritual features to get allies and things like that.
I never understood that.
Different dialogue. Yeah, they don't really explain anything well.
Well, it's Dark Souls, yeah.
Yeah. So in that one, actually, the story is really in depth. They give you a lot of story, but it's not right in front of you. You have to explore. So it's kind of it is also a background story, but it's actually a really big focus on, like, most games that include roguelike mechanics. I can't say that is roguelike because you do respawn. You also, in the original Dark Souls, you take a health chunk away from your maximum health. So there are things that really hinder you, and I'd say, yes, it's very, very roguelike due to the hindrances they provide you when you die.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes into the concept, too, of which we might do another cast on, is like how death in video games is actually a really good learning tool and a good example, and has a lot of deeper thought that goes with it than what we give it credit for.
Yeah.
But that's for another one, because I don't want to burn that one now.
Yeah. So let's see. There's also other examples like I think the new one's Neo, which is basically samurai,
Demons.
and you collect Amrita, which is kind of like Souls. It has a lot of similar concepts to Dark Souls, but it's not Dark Souls, and a lot of people will argue that it's not. So I would say it's not.
Well, neither was Bloodborne, but it was a pretty similar
Yeah, it's
style.
similar mechanic. I mean, they borrow mechanics. You know, you can borrow themes from other games. So, but so anything roguelike, you can probably anything that you lose value in items on death. I mean, there has to be a hindrance. Kind of has somewhat of a roguelike mechanic. Not all though. I mean, some games you do lose. Like Mario, oh yeah, I lost all your coins. Well, that's not really a roguelike because
whoop-de-doo coins.
yeah, because there's no hindrance to your gameplay. Like, what the hell is coins used for? Still don't understand the high score. Who gives a shit?
And free
This
lives.
isn't the 80s.
Yeah, no one cares about high score. But no, I agree. Like it does. That is kind of like a good mechanic on that. It's like, you do lose those items, and it's like, yeah, you may find the ultimate Doombringer butter knife of stabbiness. Which I want to make that now for some reason. You may lose that, and it's like, it was great. It worked really good for that class, that character, that style play that you're going for, and then just gone.
Yeah.
Gone forever. And it's like, it's that crushing level of defeat, but then it's also a good learning experience from that. And so roguelike does give us kind of that learning experience that goes with it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, shit. Because I have a bunch of stories like that where, like, I found this great item. I somehow made it far in the game on a hardcore character that after they're dead. Found this great item. It wasn't even good for the class I was having. I was going to give it to another one. This is awesome. This is wonderful. And then just dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, God, that was like 30 hours down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, done.
You gotta go into it expecting it, but once you get like so invested in it, it hurts.
It becomes
you.
scary.
Yeah, it hurts.
Oh
you.
my gosh.
And that's one thing is we need to talk about is the difficulty. But is it truly difficult?
Yes.
Some instances, yes, but like that though is like you invest so much time, you're just more afraid of losing your investment, which is rightfully so. I would be spending 30 hours and then dying and losing it all. Although there is some sense of progression. You know how the game works. You know how the mechanics, the enemies, and...
And so Darkest Dungeon's kind of a decent example of that, because even though your progress is somewhat permanent, it's not at the same time, because like characters die. I've lost dozens of heroes playing that game. And my progression is somewhat permanent because I'll either clear that dungeon or I'll upgrade the town that I need to, and I learn the enemy pattern. Like, okay, I know that a bleed attack is not going to work on a skeleton because there's no blood.
Yeah.
They can't really bleed. So it's like, okay, so you learn from that, but the sacrifice you invested into that was pretty significant. So I'd say Darkest Dungeon is pretty darn fair for how hard it can be.
Yeah.
And once you learn the system, it becomes quite easily manageable.
Yeah.
Because once you learn they're nothing more than cannon fodder and just expendable, it makes it real easy to let them die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Darkest Dungeon is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
It hits a lot of places really well. It's kind of like an ideal something.
If you haven't played that game, please.
We did a podcast. One of our first podcasts was on that.
That was our first podcast, and it was incredibly long, too. I think we went like 50 minutes or something.
Something like that. But it's hard not to talk about.
Oh, it was a wonderful game.
Yeah.
We're doing it again.
So there's two topics to go along with this. So before I lose track with difficulty, I think that's why items are introduced into roguelike, besides keeping people's attention, is, to make you feel invested. The more items thrown at you, the more you feel invested into it. Like, you don't want to lose your character because you got this great gear. And then you die, and you're like, no! Darth Vader, no.
Well, I can see it, too, adding value to those items as well, because not only is it the value of, man, it took me 20 hours to get this thing. Not like progressively, but it didn't show up for 20 hours.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this thing must be rare, or RNG is truly evil, which it is. But then it's also, too, it's the, okay, there's value in this item, but then there's also the fear of losing it.
Yeah.
as well, and the fear of my character dying in the process.
Yeah.
So,
And the fear of losing it, I think, is what makes the game seem difficult. Because, I mean, a lot of those games is like, if you could not lose the values you do, such as like souls and things, or like
or your health.
Don't starve like all your items.
Yeah. Oh god.
Before cruel winter or summer kicks in, if you didn't lose any of your items, you just respawned, the game wouldn't seem that bad. You keep all your items, you keep all your resources.
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. But since you do, it makes it seem difficult. But is it really more difficult? In a sense, yes, because you do have to start over. But the actual enemies and things like that aren't any more difficult than you would probably get in your other typical games.
Yeah, I would say their difficulty setting has already been established and proven and set. It's just more of you have that added feature of losing everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's your mindset right there.
Yeah.
It's your fear of losing it that makes it difficult. But that's good. That makes you think clear and make better decisions. It's why I like permadeath or really hard restrictions and stuff within like shooter games. It's because like if you die, you're dead, and there's a long respawn or a long time to get back to where you're going. Like DayZ, you die and lose your gear, and it'll take you bloody forever to get that crap back. So you'd be so goddamn careful. You'd wait 5 hours in a goddamn bush until you found someone or something to shoot, and you'd have to do it just right, otherwise you risk dying, or you'd run. So like that permadeath and that difficulty of getting your items back or your position back is absolutely amazing. But I think that's kind of what makes it difficult, is that mindset.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe the advantage to a roguelike is that the training wheels are off pretty much. Like, this is the big boy gaming. This is the big boy challenge.
We're not fucking around.
Yeah, or big girl, or however you want it, whatever gender you affiliate, that's fine. It's the ultimate challenge, if you will.
Yeah.
Which is fun sometimes.
I love difficult games.
Yeah.
I mean, difficulty, whether it's roguelike with permadeath or not, I like difficulty, but especially because, like I said, it makes those who like problem solving or challenges, really into the game.
So that's kind of a good segue. So then what makes a good roguelike for you? If you were designing your own game, what would make a good roguelike game?
So I'm going to speak generally here is roguelike, it has to have a really easy replayability. Like, it has to really keep your motivation. So if you do die, yes, it sucks, and you'll probably heartbroken for like a week that you lost your cleric or something stupid like that, or that God Smasher 3000. But you have to be able to jump right back on the reins and do it again. So I think what makes a good roguelike is definitely the interest investment and motivation to get you to replay it, because you're going to die. There's no way you just one shot a roguelike.
Well, if that was the case, there would be absolutely no fun to it.
Yeah, exactly. So games that make it really easy to get back into it and do it again. Like, Don't Starve is good, but it's a bit difficult because...
Well, if you make it like a certain time frame in Don't Starve, like, 30, 40, 100 plus days, and you die, it's like, oh man, like, I need a break before I go back into that.
Yeah, or you just have to start over in the world because so many things are against you, or you just keep dying so much and you have such a low health bar. You can't do anything, otherwise you die.
I forgot about that. When you die in Don't Starve, if you respawn, your HP gets heavily crippled.
Yeah, and you use your resurrection stones it's at points you just have to respawn. It's great and fun when you're with friends, but doing it by yourself, I could say that's one that's really hard to get back into. I didn't play Rogue Legacy or anything like that. Darkest Dungeon, great way, because you have your main hub, you do feel your sense of progression, and you cry every time you lose your like level 5, level 6 character.
Oh man.
But the thing about it is there's always minions to replace, and you have 20 or so, 30 or so minions at the same time. So you lose that great one, but there's always mercenaries to replace them. So those would be my examples. Like, it's just mainly replayability because you're going to die, and I like difficulty. I like a challenge. I do like equipment and things like that to keep me feel like I do have some progression. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to play it. Or like skill-based value. If you can't have items like RPG, like I do like skill-based, kind of like Mountain Blade Warband or For Honor, where it's not so much item-based, but it's skills, and if you permadeath, it's easy to hop back in, but things like that. What is yours?
Gosh, definitely. Definitely something of a difficult concept, a difficult gameplay. Definitely, obviously, permadeath, because that seems to be the standard principle we're all going with here.
Yeah.
And then, gosh, some of the good examples would be like Rogue Legacy, Darkest Dungeon, what they do with that. I kind of like it to where they're really like, maybe there isn't really progression. You only progress in that character. I guess I like that more strict mindset of that character only no hub, no passive skills, no nothing. You're dead AF.
Yeah.
Just because it seems to add a little bit more of a challenge. It adds to a little bit more of insanity. But so the replayability, from what you said, that definitely is a great example. That has to be there. But at the same time, I kind of like the fact that when there's absolutely no progression, like Don't Starve, it's okay to put it down. Like, it gives me the green light to not feel guilty about putting it down. Like,
yeah, that's true.
That's what I like about that personally, is like, oh, cool. Like, I lost everything. Everything. I'm gonna take a week off. I'll come back to it later, or I'll see if somebody else wants to play it with me later on. And I kind of like that because it gives me a little bit of freedom to put it down and come back to it. Because I've played Don't Starve off and on for God knows how long. Same with Spelunky. Off and on. Yeah, there's a little progression in Spelunky, not a lot, but a little. But, I don't have to use the shortcuts. I can just go straight back in and start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, I'm super rusty. I haven't played in a month, and I died to the spider in the level 1. To be fair, that spider was 3 times my size, but and he was scary. But
spiders are scary. Just saying.
But I kind of like I like that kind of. So I think for me, a good roguelike game would be that harsh punishment, no passive skills, and it start completely over, but have that intrigue, that replayability, that catch, that hook. But at the same time, give me permission to not be completely hooked into it.
I think I prefer growing an individual character more than the hub style.
Mm-hmm.
Hubs are nice because you do have a sense I kept value and progression that I didn't lose. You're like, oh, I didn't lose it.
The town didn't burn down.
Yeah, yet.
Not yet.
One night at the bar.
Don't trust that blacksmith.
Yeah, but I think I like more of working on individual character because it makes you focus, because Darkest Dungeon is multiple characters, and Don't Starve, you gotta feed everyone, otherwise you're screwed.
You don't have to feed everyone.
You don't, but the thing is, if you lose a member, you lose that ability to do work. So,
yeah, you were always the poop farmer?
Yeah, I ended up doing the poop farmer.
But he's a great poop farmer, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. But I like investing in one character because it makes me focus on my one task, my one job. And you have to be so careful where you step for traps, because traps always get me. You got to focus or don't corner yourselves with enemies. So, you only have your one character and your one job to do. And I think I like that over the hub system.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
So let's pose that to the viewer question. What do you think classifies as a good roguelike game or an example? And I'm sure you can throw out examples we haven't even mentioned, because I looked up examples of roguelike and there were infinite amount.
Yeah.
Some of them I've heard of, some of them I've never heard of, some of them I've played, some of them I don't think I'll ever play.
I played the little arcade shooter on Steam. I think it was a web browser at the time before I was on Steam. Realm of the Mad God, just a little arcade shooter. And you just get to you have to collect These little like small item drops. You collect them. You get level 20, unlock another character. You just hold the trigger and shoot shit as you do. It's like a time waste, but it's actually a fun little roguelike game.
Okay, so let's go into that too. That just made me remember one. I remember in high school when I was in my computer class, my Cisco networking class. A lot of good that did me. In my downtime, we would play a Flash game called like Wiz, or it was like Wiz 3 or something like that. I can't remember, but it was this little wizard, and it was a platforming game. But as you progressed your wizard, like he did level up and gain like different spells and abilities, and you could attack and kill things. And it was a side scroller. And I mean, it was very simple in its design. I don't even know if it exists anymore. If someone finds it, tell me, because I think it'd be funny to see it again. But like it was roguelike the more I think about it, because like when you died, you were done.
Yeah.
Like it had multiple lives like Mario, but when you died, you lost your spell progression.
Yeah.
You had to get those spell scrolls back. You had to get that experience / leveling system back going, and it was terrifying.
So would you say that a lot of like the NES games were kind of more roguelike before it was like a kind of a theme? Because I mean, like if you think like Contra games, Contra 3.
They would definitely have roguelike elements.
Yeah, because I mean, like you had 1 or 2 lives, but after that you'd have to start the campaign all over again.
And then when you died too, they didn't give you what you had when you died.
Oh, no, yeah,
you got back to said pistol.
Yeah. that game was.
I had spread shot.
It was like the hardest. Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are probably good examples of that. Because like it's funny because roguelike was probably something that was originally started out early on as the only mechanic style of gameplay.
Yeah.
And then other things progressed from it. And thankfully, since the indie developer craze is I would say at its golden era right now, because it's on the rise. There's a lot of attention. There's almost too many. People are doing a lot of good things. They're refining their games and whatnot. There's almost that niche to bring roguelike back.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that.
Adventure for the Atari. That was a good one.
I never played Adventure.
Really? There's little blocks and colors.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh, there's an item. That's a key?
I think it's a key.
Yeah, I think it's a key. All right, so yeah, give us your guys' thoughts on that one. Especially examples, because there's a ton, but I can't think of a ton of good ones off the top of my head. But then again, doing this on like a Friday after work, brain dead.
Oh yeah, no, my brain's toast on this one.
So let's talk about death.
Yay!
I mean permadeath.
Oh, permadeath.
Yeah. I mean, it applies to real life.
So, obviously we've been talking about it on and on, but permadeath, or permanent death as it's actually spelled out, is where your character tune, class, character creation, individual thing you're controlling is dead. I mean, dead, gone, forever.
Yep. They're not coming back, period.
What?
Yeah.
There's no Vita tube. There's no resurrection spell. There's no Phoenix Downs.
This isn't an MMO, kid. This is real life.
Raise, please.
Yeah. Or D&D, you gotta have a diamond the size of your hand to resurrect, and I forgot what, depending on your certain level.
Oh man, we always just dragged someone's corpse back to a cleric and made him paid for a res spell.
Yeah, but you know how much those are?
They're like 10k.
Yeah, depending on your level, it's like the ingredients. I forgot the level usage, but it's a diamond the size of your palm. Like, it has to be a big ass diamond to resurrect your ass. So
amazing. Thank God it's not suppository.
Yeah.
I had to. I'm sorry. So, is permadeath a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How do you feel about that?
I love it. I don't think it's a bad thing because it adds, like I said, the difficulty and the careful actions, being tactical, things like that. You might grow unattached to it, but it makes it more exciting. It keeps a game from getting dull and being...
Yeah. And I would probably lean towards it's more of a good thing, but I have seen examples of where it is a bad thing. There was one game on Steam, I think it was called One Shot or One Life or something like that, where it was like a shooter game that was roguelike elements, but when your character died, you couldn't play the game ever again. That was it. Like, you were done.
Wow.
And some people would make it 5 minutes, and that was it. They were done because it was linked to their account. They had to do like a brand new Steam account, do a whole new system. things like that, and then keep playing if they wanted to. And then some people had never died. And it was kind of like, I never got a chance to really look at it too much, but the concept was pretty cool. Because it was kind of like a tactical shooter to some extent. And you could work together because there was like 2 opposing teams. You could pick a team and go from there. But like, I think Friendly Fire was on and whatnot, and it made a lot of people really work with each other. But I see that as kind of like a bad thing because, I mean, could you imagine how much that would suck? Like you buy, because I think it was only like $5 or something. You pay $5 for this game. You literally get 5 minutes into it, dead.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Like that just reminded me of pretty much going to the arcades and just dumping coins.
Well, even you get at least some time out of that.
Continue?
Yeah. That because you lose value really quickly. That's the replayability. It's not easy to hop back into.
And,
if you
and
can't,
there's almost none in that one.
then why invest into it? It's all about. I mean, real life's all about investments, and so is games. Is it worthy of your time to invest in? Are you going to gain anything from it? And if you get 5 minutes, you really don't get any gameplay.
Well, you could get 5 minutes, or you could get 50 hours. It depends on if.
But there should be a way. I don't care if it would be a cooldown. If I had to wait an entire 24 hours, dude, that's a lot better than never playing it again. That's like being banned for being a good, just for losing at the game.
Yeah.
And that's, no.
Yeah, that's like being banned for not knowing, for not knowing a simple math problem.
Yeah.
Or
posting just a cute little cat gif, and someone's like, "No cats here, ban." And you're like, "What the?"
To be fair, in some extent.
Yeah, that's true. Cats are evil. Side podcast. So, what can permadeath teach us?
Oh my
Not
God.
to like cats, obviously.
We'll do a side podcast with your cat.
Neck still hurts for my cat. Just saying. Long story, but
free cat, by the way.
Yeah.
So what can permadeath teach us? Obviously, many, 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 many things. And that we'll dive deeper into that into another podcast because I do want to dive deeper into death in games.
Yeah.
But permadeath teaches us, obviously...
bring your emo friends.
I would say it teaches us caution. It teaches us a valuable lesson. It really does. Because it teaches you not to run headlong into something, or not to not be aware of your surroundings, or it teaches you a pattern or a style or what your limits on what you can't handle. It's like, okay, 5 enemies at once, no can do.
Yeah. The thing is, it applies to real life. And you might have games to escape real life, but it makes you apply real life situations.
Wait, you mean there's permadeath in real life?
Yeah, well, yeah. But
what?
Besides that, it's like problem solving, common sense, strategizing, problem solving, things like that. That's why I prefer, I hate Battlefield games because, you run in, die, doesn't matter. Run in, shoot, die, doesn't matter. But Rainbow Six, it's like, you're dead for the round. Now you gotta sit there and wait forever because you were just stupid and decided to run around a corner, and you're kind of punished by time limit. It can teach you a lot. It's just like common sense. If you're gonna go siege into a building, they're probably waiting for you right around the corner. Now, how are you gonna get out of the situation? It's kind of like real life thinking. It's like, what would you do? And it kind of tests your mental boundaries. That's what I like. So
it's kind of like avoiding your boss. So like when you see him walking down the cubicles, it's like, okay, if I move this way, I'm not going to get ratted out by the office snitch. But if I go that way, he'll see me.
It's permadeath. It's perma job.
You're working Saturday. Damn it!
Yeah. It is a perma job. So do I pull his chair out from under him? Or bring them coffee.
Do I take the cyanide pill for myself or work Saturday? Decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
So why is it a necessary system in some games?
Yeah, so that was a thing I threw out there just to kind of see kind of a thought experiment on that.
It's necessary. If the genre or theme wasn't around, I think there would be a lot less variety in games, obviously, but it would games wouldn't test you as much. They wouldn't push the buck on your skills, or I don't know. It's hard hard to say, but basically, yeah, they wouldn't push you on your skills.
Yeah, it is a necessary concept or a plan, idea, evil, if you want to look at it that way. It does serve a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And permadeath, like, death in games serves a purpose. It teaches you a lesson. It teaches you, hey, there actually is no bottom to that pit, or at the bottom there's spikes.
Yeah.
Consequences. So there's a consequence that goes with it. Permadeath, the consequence is just to the tenfold, if not hundreds or thousandth, or whatever you want to make it for a multiplier fold.
Yeah.
Because it's a very big thing. It's like, oh, I died. I had another guy. I'll just be, I'll jump over that, or I won't touch that, or I won't lick the green toad. I'll lick the red toad.
You're supposed to kiss him, not lick him.
Oh, that's why I keep dying.
Yeah.
But permadeath, it's like, no, you're dead, man. Like, that's it, done. Like, you start from level stupid.
Yeah, we all start from level.
We all start at level stupid. No one starts above it.
Yeah. I completely agree. It's completely necessary. So permadeath stories. You start.
Oh God. I know the one I was sharing beforehand. Like, I did a hardcore playthrough on Torchlight 2, which is permadeath more or less. And I was playing with my Ember Mage, and I remember beating the main campaign, which was stupid hard on hardcore mode like that, because you're dead. You did. Barely pulled it off. But I mean, it was hardcore mode, but in the normal difficulty setting, not the veteran or elite plus. And so it was still hard because it was still scary the entire time. There were some butt-clenching moments of crap, I'm dead.
You can crack a walnut.
Oh, I can make diamonds, my friend.
Well,
just give me some coal and it'll happen.
Was that from your resurrection spell? Is that where the diamond?
Touche. But I got it through the main campaign to the New Game Plus, and like my first legendary dropped. And like I'd never seen one before ever, even in my other playthroughs. And like all of a sudden it's just this orange golden hue, and it says a mysterious gun. And it's like, well, my character can't even use guns, but this is pretty cool. Like my first legendary. So I go to pick it up, and like it's a gun that can be used for like an Outlander or another class that can use guns. And it had a lot of good stuff on it. Like it would have worked for a Poison Lander build. So it had a lot of poison damage. It had poison passives. It decreased cooldowns on certain poison abilities, things like that. Really cool piece of equipment. And I got focused on that more than the mob of enemies that was coming at me.
Teaches you.
Which taught me totally. And like got down to like, barely survivable, and then like another wave comes, or like the one loner, I can't remember what it was. I think it was the one loner or something showed up, a little skeleton with like a sword and shield. And he's like, Pop! And just dead. And it's like it was gone forever.
Yep.
And I mean that's a majority of my permadeath stories or roguelike stories, is that like I got this godly piece of gear, or I progressed this character so far, or like that guy I got like 30 hours into, and gone.
It teaches you to be greedy.
Gone forever.
That's what it teaches you, though.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not touching that until I know damn well left, right, make sure no cars are coming, and you're like, now I'm crossing the road to get that damn legendary item.
Moped!
Yeah. Oh, only 10 damage. It's a moped. I mean, come on.
I only had 12 HP.
I think mine it always involves traps, like...
That's true. You're a magnet for those.
Yeah, I'm always like I'm prepared and I look out for them, but somehow my freaking bloody life I keep dying in traps. Like I will live through the biggest fights, or whatever, and then after the fight I'm like, oh, let me go get this item before drinking this potion. Trap, dang it, And that's all my permadeath is. Like I just fucking find these goddamn poison or spike traps and just watch my life tick away. Strain. So I don't have any specific story, but that's how I always die.
Oh, you were hit by the poison sleeping arrow.
Yeah.
That ticks away 50% of your life each second. Oh, well, that's quick then.
Yeah. Well, that escalated quickly.
Oh, I guess I'm dead.
Yeah. So, share your best permadeath story.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them.
It's probably the funniest stories and like the most oh shit face palmers, because like I shouldn't have done that, and it wasn't obvious at the time, but afterwards you're like, well, no duh, dummy. And
yeah.
There's no one to blame but yourself, or depending on the game, your teammates. Like, don't starve. You guys are buttholes.
I only killed you twice.
Yeah, like drawing me into the damn giant spider queen. Thanks.
To be fair, too, you did serve as a very good fodder.
Yeah.
Using air quotes for that. For the hounds.
Yeah. Ooh, I forgot about that.
I hate those hounds.
Yeah. But anyways, so thank you guys for joining us. I believe that wraps it up.
Yeah, we'll call it there.
Okay. Well, this is the Flickering Torch podcast, and thank you for joining us, our one loyal listener, and hopefully get some more. Share your thoughts in the comments, or
not.
Yeah. We hope you just see you on the next one. But this is Flickering Torch podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.